Hello again, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Patoka Sportsmen. I'm Gene Kuntz. Indiana's deer muzzleloader season and late archery begin this weekend. If you're still out there hunting, you'll find that December is a much different time of year to hunt than the warm days of October and early November. Deer are very nervous right now. The rut has come and gone, and only those deer not bred during the first rut will be tended to by bucks. The weather is also much colder, which means that you'll need some really warm clothing and boots to be able to stay out in below freezing temperatures for several hours. Watch the weather closely and try to hunt either just before or just after a cold front. During bad weather, deer don't tend to move very much. Once it is passed on, or right before, they'll be at their favorite food source trying to stock up on some much-needed energy. During December, deer don't seem to move as much at dawn as they did a couple of months earlier. I think they're trying to wait for the woods to warm up a little before stirring around. That means that you could sleep in and get into the woods about maybe 9 or 10 and hunt until 3 or 4 to see if you can catch deer moving during the middle of the day. Hunting really thick areas is also a good idea during December. Deer are looking for a warm place to bed down out of the wind. If you find a thicket that's almost impenetrable with briars, you've found a bedding area. If you can be in that area right after a snowfall, you should be able to see lots of tracks in places that you can hardly get through. In December, deer are trying to maintain their body fat for the cold winter coming up. Bucks have lost much of their body reserves chasing does during the rut. Their main concern is food and hiding from hunters and predators. Harvested grain fields and fields planted with cover crops such as winter wheat and rye are also good bets. Deer will browse on leftover acorns, persimmons, and honeysuckle leaves. South-facing slopes warm faster, and deer tend to congregate there in the winter months. If there's a snowfall, that's a perfect time to do some still hunting. Fresh fallen snow will muffle the sounds of your footsteps, and if it's still snowing, it will appear that the entire woods is moving, which will also hide your movements. My experience this year has been that there aren't many deer wandering around out there. The DNR has told us that the effects of last year's EHD disease would not have a drastic effect on this year's deer herd. I disagree. The last 2 years have been pretty scarce in 2 counties that I hunt in. I haven't heard many shots on any one specific day this year like I did 2 or 3 years ago. That tells me the deer numbers are down. Several other hunting friends of mine haven't seen as many deer this year either. I have one friend that hunts 9 or 10 hours at a time in a stand. Some days he's only seen 1 or 2 deer. Several days he hasn't seen a single deer in 10 hours of hunting. Special deer hunts were held on 4 specific days this past month at various state parks in Indiana. At Lincoln State Park, 212 hunters harvested 70 deer. That's a success rate of 33%. At Harmony State Park, 516 hunters harvested 166 deer for a success rate of 32%. Most of the deer were harvested on the first day of the special 4-day deer reduction hunts at each park. After the first day, many hunters didn't see a deer. Final numbers will be released in a later date, and I'll share them with you. And until next time, this is Gene Kuntz, encouraging you to take the time to teach a child how to conserve and appreciate our great wildlife resources.